Okay, in this video we're going to learn the basic step of wrapping yarn around coil and connecting it in order to shape a basket. So one of the most important things when you're making this kind of basket is thinking about a hand position that will work. I've got my yarn with a needle on it. Go ahead and thread your needle if you haven't done that already. And if you need a reminder about how to do that, there's a video tutorial of that as well. So thinking about the hand position, I'm going to make sure I've got my left hand here making the L, and I'm actually going to use that little pincher of the left hand to pick up the coil. I'm going to hold this pinch nice and tight, not right up against the yarn, but pretty near, and that's the hand that's going to hold the basket. The other hand is going to hold the yarn, and again I'm going to pinch the yarn. I don't need my needle right now, but we'll use that later. I'm going to pinch the yarn with this hand and have those two pinchers working together. So once you've got that hand position, you take a look at your basket and notice this yarn is coming from behind and going up and over. Your basket might be like that, or it might be like this one, where the yarn is coming from behind, over and down. Either way is fine. I just wanted to show you the difference. So again, this yarn, you'd be coming over and down and wrapping around that way. And this one, you'd be coming up and over. So I'm going to give the example with this one here, where I'm going up and over. And again, if you're coming the other way, that's okay. You just wrap backwards like that. So when I've got my pinch and my pinch, I'm going to go ahead and start using the hand with the yarn to wrap the yarn around the coil. The coil is not really going to move. It's the yarn that's going to move. So I'm going to wrap the yarn nice and tight. You don't want to strangle the coil really, but you can't have it too loose, otherwise it doesn't cover the coil and you see the coil through it. So as you wrap, you want to make sure that you're laying the yarn right next to the last wrap. So right next, so they're next door neighbors. If you bring them out like that a little too far, then you can see the coil in and you don't get that nice color continuation. Sometimes it's also good to look at the back of it because you might think that you're laying it flat, but then if you turn around, you can see some coil coming through. And sometimes I use this hand to push the wrap back a little bit. So I wrap with the yarn, laying it nice and tight and flat right up against the other. Okay, so once you've wrapped several times around and you see that you've got this bit that needs to be connected down here, that's when we're going to use the needle. It doesn't have to be an exact number, but start watching for when it's gotten long enough that it needs to be connected down. So I'm going to now, instead of holding it out like this, I'm going to bring the coil and lay it right up against the snail shell that's already there. And with my needle, I'm going to poke through, not where the red is on that level, but actually I'm going to go down a story and come through right beneath it. So I can turn it over and I'm going under, not where the red is, but under one story and coming up and pulling through. And part of my yarn didn't quite get through, so that means I needed that tail to be a little shorter. So I'm going to pull on my needle and make that tail a little shorter. There we go. Okay, so I've only got one piece of yarn coming through here. Once I've got that coming through the story below, I'm going to bring the yarn back up nice and tight, because this is where it connects. You almost want to imagine, can I connect it tight enough so that I could even hold water in this basket? There are no holes at all. Nice and tight. And once I've got that, I'm going to go back to my pinchers. This left hand pinching the coil and this right hand pinching the yarn. And I'm going to keep wrapping. And I have to kind of slide it in there because I want to keep that nice and tight. And I can see a little bit of the coil, so I'm going to scooch it back with my finger. Nice and tight, and keep wrapping. And wrap, wrap, wrap. Okay, and then you can count if you want 7 or 8 wraps, but you can also take a look. Have I wrapped enough to want to connect again? You want to connect pretty regularly, because if you wait too long, then that spot, you could probably push water through it and it wouldn't connect. It doesn't connect quite as well. So don't wait too long before connecting again. And to connect again, I'm going to think, I'm not coming up where the red is, I'm coming up one below, bringing my needle underneath and up, pulling nice and tight. Remember, I kept this hand, I brought the coil right up against its snail shell, pulling nice and tight, coming back up, getting my pinchers again ready, and wrapping again. This is the easiest way to connect. Sometimes this is thought of as the basket having a little bridge in it, because you can see the red coming over both of the coils. And that's okay. There are other ways to do it that there will be other videos for. That's the easiest way to connect your basket and the wrapping method of how to make a basket. Okay, we'll see you next time.